My name is Christina, I'm 58 years old, and I never thought my own son would see me as nothing more than a bank vault to crack. Last Sunday, while pretending to nap after dinner, I heard Jerome and his wife Natasha whispering about my accounts. Then my 16-year-old grandson Tyler slipped me a note that made my blood run cold. "Grandma, they're planning something bad. Meet me by the old oak tree tonight." My hands trembled as I read those words, realizing the child I raised had become my enemy. Before we dive deeper into this story, I'd love to know where you're watching from today. If you've ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories. Trust me, what happens next will leave you questioning everything about family loyalty. Let's continue with how my grandson became my unlikely hero in this twisted tale. That night, waiting by the old oak tree felt like the longest hours of my life. Tyler appeared just after midnight, his young face drawn with worry that no teenager should carry. He glanced around nervously before pulling out his phone, and what he showed me shattered my heart into pieces I'm still trying to reassemble. "Grandma, I've been taking screenshots for weeks," he whispered, scrolling through message after message between his parents. The plan was detailed, calculated, and cruel. They intended to convince me to sign power of attorney documents by claiming I was showing early signs of dementia. The next step involved moving me to the cheapest nursing home they could find, somewhere far from friends who might ask questions. Then they'd sell my house and drain the $450,000 I'd inherited when my husband Robert passed away 2 years ago. I stared at those messages, each word cutting deeper than the last. Jerome had found a doctor, someone named Morrison, who would provide the medical documentation they needed. Natasha had been researching which medications would make me appear confused without causing permanent damage. They'd even calculated how long it would take to complete their scheme, 3 months from start to finish. "There's more, Grandma," Tyler said, his voice cracking. He showed me photos Natasha had taken of my pill bottles, notes about my daily routine, and recordings of conversations where I'd simply forgotten a name or mixed up a date. Normal things anyone might do, but they were building a case that I was losing my mind. Suddenly, everything made sense. The unusual fatigue I'd been experiencing, the afternoon confusion, the way I'd been sleeping so deeply after our evening tea. "Tyler, are you telling me they've been drugging me?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. He nodded, tears streaming down his face. "I saw Mom crushing pills and mixing them into your tea. She said it was vitamins, but I looked them up. They're sleeping pills, Grandma. Strong ones. That's why you've been so tired, why you sometimes can't remember things clearly in the evenings." I pulled my grandson close, this brave boy who chose right over blood. "Why are you telling me this?" "They're your parents. Because I love you more than I fear them," he said simply. "And because what they're doing is evil. You took care of me when Mom was too busy with her schemes and Dad was at the casino. You're the one who helped with homework, who came to my games, who actually cares if I eat dinner. I won't let them hurt you." The more Tyler revealed, the more I understood the depth of their betrayal. They'd been planning this for over a year, ever since Robert's life insurance paid out. Every visit, every concerned phone call, every offer to help had been calculated. When Jerome suggested I see his doctor friend for a casual checkup, when Natasha offered to organize my medications, when they insisted on having spare keys for emergencies, it all had been part of their grand design. "What do I do now?" I asked Tyler, feeling simultaneously ancient and energized. My own child wanted to destroy me, but my grandson had given me the gift of awareness. "We fight back, Grandma. But we have to be smart. They can't know that you know, not yet. I'll help you. I'm good with technology, and I've been watching them long enough to understand their patterns. We can turn their own game against them." As we walked back to the house that night, Tyler teaching me how to use recording apps on my phone, I realized I'd been given a second chance. Not just to save myself, but to show my grandson that standing up for what's right matters more than blood relations. The battle ahead would be ugly, but I wouldn't face it alone. The next few weeks tested every ounce of strength I possessed. Jerome and Natasha increased their visits, arriving almost daily with concerned smiles and calculating eyes. Dr. Morrison began joining them for dinner, a man whose handshake felt as cold as his intentions. He'd perform what he called friendly cognitive exercises, while we ate, simple memory tests disguised as casual conversation. "Christina, what did we have for dinner last Tuesday?" he'd ask with a practiced smile. "Can you tell me what year your husband was born? What medications are you currently taking?" I played my part, occasionally fumbling for answers, allowing confusion to cloud my features while the recording app Tyler had installed captured every word. The hardest performance came when they started staging incidents. I'd watch Natasha slip my purse into the freezer while I pretended to doze, then witness her theatrical discovery hours later. "Oh my goodness, Christina? Look where I found your purse," she'd exclaim, pulling it from between the frozen vegetables. "You must have put it here by mistake. Jerome, come see this." Jerome would rush in, his face a mask of concern that never reached his eyes. "Mom, this isn't like you. Maybe we should consider getting you some help. Just someone to check in, make sure you're taking care of yourself." Each incident grew more elaborate. They'd hide my keys in the bathroom cabinet, move my reading glasses to the garage, even rearrange furniture slightly to make me appear disoriented. I'd stumble and search, letting them document my confusion, while Tyler's hidden cameras recorded them planting evidence. The tour of nursing facilities began 3 weeks after that night by the oak tree. Jerome had selected the most depressing places imaginable, facilities that reeked of industrial disinfectant and despair. "This one has excellent medical supervision," he'd say, guiding me through hallways where residents sat forgotten in wheelchairs. "They specialize in memory care patients." I nodded along, asked confused questions, even expressed worry about being a burden. Inside, my rage burned cold and patient. These places weren't for my care, they were storage units where they could forget about me while spending my money. One evening, while cataloging my jewelry for safekeeping, I discovered Robert's watch missing. That watch, the gold Rolex I'd given him for our 25th anniversary, had vanished from my drawer. I wanted to scream, to demand its return, but Tyler's warning echoed in my mind. "Don't let them know you notice anything missing. Document everything." So I documented every missing item, every staged incident, every pill slipped into my tea. Tyler proved invaluable, teaching me about cloud storage and encrypted files. "Even if they take your phone, Grandma, all this evidence will be safe," he assured me. The appointment with the estate lawyer arrived faster than expected. Jerome presented it casually, mentioning they'd scheduled it for updating documents and making sure everything was in order. But I'd seen the emails Tyler forwarded, knew they planned to have me sign away my financial autonomy under the guise of routine paperwork. "Mr. Brennan comes highly recommended," Jerome said over breakfast, watching me struggle with the newspaper crossword I'd deliberately left incomplete. "He'll make sure all your wishes are properly documented. You want to make sure Tyler's education is secure, don't you?" The manipulation in using my love for Tyler against me sparked fresh anger, but I smiled sweetly. "Of course, dear. You know I'd do anything for my grandson. When did you say the appointment was?" "Thursday at 2. Natasha and I will drive you, make sure you get there safely." I agreed, knowing I had less than a week to prepare my counterattack. That night, after they left, I found more valuables missing. My mother's pearl necklace, several first-edition books, and the silver tea set from my wedding. They were testing boundaries, seeing what I'd notice, growing bolder with each theft. Tyler met me in the garden shed where we'd established our secret planning spot. "I heard them on the phone with someone named Vince," he reported. "Dad owes him money, a lot of money. They're getting desperate." This new information changed everything. Desperate people make mistakes, but they also make dangerous decisions. I realized my son wasn't just greedy, he was trapped, and trapped animals attack with vicious unpredictability. My neighbors, Harold and Ruth Johnson, knocked on my door Tuesday morning with troubling news. "Christina, we didn't want to worry you," Ruth began hesitantly, "but we've seen Jerome's car here several times when you were at your book club. We thought maybe he was dropping something off, but yesterday Harold saw him leaving with boxes." I thanked them for their concern, playing the confused elder while my mind raced. Jerome had been entering my home without permission, stealing who knows what while I maintained my weekly routines. That evening, I discovered the extent of his intrusion. My file cabinet had been ransacked, bank statements photocopied, and investment documents disturbed. He'd even found the spare key to my safety deposit box. Tyler's investigation revealed more disturbing facts. Jerome had somehow obtained copies of my house keys, not just one but several sets. He'd been distributing them to people I didn't recognize, individuals who'd been photographed entering my home by Tyler's carefully placed trail camera. Dr. Morrison escalated his pressure during Wednesday's dinner visit. "Christina, I'm genuinely concerned about your well-being," he said, producing official-looking forms. "I think it would be beneficial to conduct a comprehensive evaluation at Riverside Psychiatric Facility. Just a few days for observation, nothing permanent." The suggestion of psychiatric hospitalization sent chills through me, but I maintained my confused facade. "Oh, doctor, is that really necessary? I feel fine, just a little forgetful sometimes." "That's exactly why we need to act now," he insisted, his eyes cold despite his sympathetic tone. "Early intervention is key with cognitive decline. Jerome and Natasha only want what's best for you." I pretended to consider, then asked for a week to prepare, to put my affairs in order. The flash of frustration across Morrison's face told me time was running shorter than they'd planned. After they left, I immediately called my real lawyer, Anthony Peterson, a friend of Robert's who'd handled our affairs for 30 years. Peterson's office felt like sanctuary after weeks of deception. I laid out the evidence, recordings, videos, documents, everything Tyler and I had collected. His expression grew increasingly grim as he reviewed each piece. "Christina, this is elder abuse, fraud, conspiracy, and attempted theft," he said firmly. "We need to act immediately to protect your assets. I'm going to file emergency documents to freeze any access to your accounts except through me. We'll also petition for a restraining order once we have enough evidence of the drugging." We spent hours establishing safeguards, transferring assets to protected trusts, and creating legal barriers Jerome couldn't cross. Peterson also recommended a private investigator to dig into Morrison's background. "Something about this doctor doesn't sit right," he muttered. "Real physicians don't make house calls to perform cognitive tests over pot roast." Thursday arrived with Jerome and Natasha at my door, eager to escort me to their chosen lawyer. When I asked to see the documents beforehand, just to understand them better, Natasha's mask slipped. "There's no time for that," she snapped, then caught herself. "I mean, Mr. Brennan will explain everything much better than we could." "You trust us, don't you, Christina?" "Of course, dear," I replied, noting how her hands trembled slightly. "But surely there's no harm in my being prepared. Robert always said to read everything before signing." Jerome intervened, his voice strained. "Mom, we're trying to help you. The appointment is in an hour, and traffic might be bad. Can we please just go?" I acquiesced, but insisted on bringing my reading glasses and a notebook, to remember important points. During the drive, I pretended to doze while they discussed their financial situation in hushed tones. The number that caught my attention made me understand their desperation. $80,000 owed to someone who didn't accept payment plans. At Brennan's office, I stalled magnificently. I asked for water, then tea. I needed the bathroom twice. I dropped my pen repeatedly and struggled to find my glasses. Each delay revealed more of their desperation. Brennan himself seemed nervous, constantly checking his watch and exchanging meaningful looks with Jerome. When I finally began reading the documents, I gasped at their audacity. Complete power of attorney, immediate transfer of all property, control over medical decisions, and buried in legal language, a provision that would institutionalize me at Morrison's discretion. "This seems very comprehensive," I said slowly, letting confusion color my voice. "Perhaps I should have someone explain it to me? My friend's daughter is a lawyer." "No," Natasha nearly shouted. "That's not necessary. Jerome can explain anything you don't understand. He's your son, he has your best interests at heart." I nodded thoughtfully, then knocked over my water glass, soaking the documents. In the chaos that followed, I managed to photograph key pages with my phone while apologizing profusely for my clumsiness. That evening, Tyler texted me urgently. Strange cars had been parked outside their house. Men in dark suits had approached Jerome in the driveway, and their conversation, while inaudible, had left his father visibly shaken. The loan sharks were circling, and desperate people were about to become dangerous ones. Saturday brought a betrayal that cut deeper than Jerome's scheme. My sister Beverly arrived unannounced, her face a mask of false concern that I'd seen too often lately. We'd been close once, sharing secrets and dreams, but something in her eyes had changed. "Christina, honey, we need to talk about your situation," she began, settling into Robert's old chair without invitation. "Jerome's told me everything. The confusion, the memory lapses, that incident with the freezer. I think it's time you listened to your family." I studied my younger sister, noting the new designer handbag, the expensive shoes, the jewelry I'd never seen before. "Beverly, when did Jerome start confiding in you? You barely spoke to him at Christmas." She shifted uncomfortably. "That's not important. What matters is your health. I've seen the signs myself. Remember when you called me Linda last week? Linda's been dead for 10 years, Christina." I hadn't called her Linda. I hadn't called her at all last week. The lie rolled off her tongue so smoothly I realized she'd been practicing. Tyler later confirmed my suspicion. Jerome had promised Beverly $50,000 for her cooperation. The deeper cut came when Grace Chen appeared at my door. Grace, who'd held my hand through Robert's funeral, who'd been my walking partner for 15 years, who I'd helped through her daughter's immigration process. Her tears seemed genuine as she urged me to accept help. "Please don't fight this," she begged. "Your family loves you. They want you safe. I've noticed changes too, Christina. That time you forgot our lunch date? When you couldn't remember my granddaughter's name?" Each fabrication stung because it came wrapped in real memories. Yes, I'd forgotten one lunch date in 15 years of friendship. Yes, I'd blanked on her granddaughter's name momentarily, but the child had just returned from college with a newly adopted nickname. Normal lapses weaponized against me by people I'd trusted with my heart. Sunday's church service revealed the extent of Jerome's campaign. Conversations halted when I approached. Sympathetic looks followed my steps. Meredith Baker, who'd sat beside me in the third pew for 20 years, suddenly found reasons to relocate. The Whisper Network had been thoroughly poisoned. Pastor Williams pulled me aside after service, his kindness making the betrayal worse. "Christina, if you need to talk about anything, my door is always open. We support our members through all of life's challenges, including health transitions." "Health transitions?" I asked, though I knew exactly what seeds had been planted. "Jerome mentioned you've been struggling. Please know there's no shame in accepting help. Sometimes God works through medical professionals and loving family members." I thanked him and fled, sitting in my car until the trembling stopped. My son hadn't just targeted my money, he'd systematically destroyed my reputation, my friendships, my place in the community. Without Tyler's evidence, I'd have no defense against this coordinated assault. Monday's intervention arrived with theatrical precision. Jerome had gathered 15 people in my living room, Beverly, Grace, Drive. Morrison, several church members, and neighbors I barely knew. They'd arranged chairs in a semicircle facing a single seat clearly meant for me, like a defendant before judges. "Mom, we're here because we love you," Jerome began, his performance worthy of an Oscar. "Everyone in this room has witnessed concerning incidents. We want to help before things get worse." One by one, they testified. Mrs. Patterson claimed I'd watered her plastic plants. Mr. Edwards swore I'd tried to pay for groceries with expired coupons from 1998. Grace tearfully recounted conversations that never happened, while Beverly added creative details about my midnight wandering during a visit that hadn't occurred. Dr. Morrison presented his crown jewel, a medical report recommending immediate intervention. Phrases like rapid cognitive decline and danger to herself peppered the document. He'd even included brain scan images that I later learned belonged to someone else entirely. "The facility I've recommended has an opening tomorrow," he announced. "With everyone's support, we can make this transition smooth and dignified." I sat in that chair, surrounded by lies and liars, and played my greatest performance. I cried genuine tears for the death of trust, let confusion show as I struggled to process their betrayal. I even thanked them for caring, my voice shaking with suppressed rage rather than the gratitude they assumed. "This is so overwhelming," I managed. "Could I have tonight to prepare? To pack some special things? Robert's photo, my Bible, some letters?" The vultures exchanged satisfied glances. Jerome magnanimously agreed, probably already calculating how quickly he could list the house. They filtered out, leaving him, Natasha, and Morrison to discuss logistics in my kitchen while I sat in engineered devastation. Tyler, hidden in the coat closet with his phone, had recorded everything. That brilliant, brave child had suggested the hiding spot that morning, knowing his parents would check obvious places but not behind winter coats in August. After the conspirators left, he emerged with evidence that would damn them all. But the night wasn't over. Around 2 in the morning, I heard them in my house, searching for documents they'd failed to locate earlier. From my bedroom, I listened to drawers opening, papers rustling, and Natasha's frustrated cursing when they couldn't find my will or the information about Robert's offshore investment account. They were getting sloppy, desperate, and dangerous. Tomorrow, they planned to cage me. But tonight, I was still free, still fighting, and finally ready to show them exactly who they'd underestimated. The meek widow they'd marked as prey was about to become their worst nightmare, and I'd savor every moment of their downfall. Tuesday dawn found me in Anthony Peterson's office, executing a plan we'd refined through sleepless nights. Every asset Jerome coveted moved beyond his reach into irrevocable trusts. The house transferred to a trust with Tyler as future beneficiary. The investment accounts locked behind legal walls that would take years to breach. Peterson worked with the efficiency of someone who'd seen too many families destroyed by greed. The beautiful thing about this structure, he explained, is that even if they somehow obtained power of attorney now, they couldn't touch anything. You've essentially made yourself judgment-proof while maintaining full control. While Peterson handled the legal fortifications, the private investigator he'd recommended delivered explosive findings. Dr. Morrison had lost his medical license in Pennsylvania for insurance fraud. He'd been operating under variations of his name, providing fake medical opinions for families seeking to institutionalize elderly relatives. 3 previous victims had died under suspicious circumstances within months of being committed. There's more, investigator James Murphy continued. Your daughter-in-law Natasha has a history. 5 years ago in Florida, she worked as a home health aide for an elderly woman named Dorothy Ramos. Within 6 months, Dorothy was in a facility, and her house was sold. Dorothy's daughter Maria has been trying to build a case but couldn't find Natasha after she married your son and changed her name. I immediately contacted Maria Ramos. Her story echoed mine with chilling precision: the staged confusion, the missing items, the isolation from friends. My mother died believing she was crazy, Maria said through tears. The facility medicated her so heavily she couldn't speak. I'll testify anywhere, anytime, to stop them from doing this again. Tyler's technical skills proved invaluable as we installed a sophisticated camera system throughout my house. Hidden in smoke detectors, picture frames, and potted plants, they captured every angle of every room. We practiced emergency procedures. One button on my phone would simultaneously alert police, Peterson, and stream footage to secure cloud storage. Wednesday morning arrived with Jerome and Natasha at my door, suitcases in hand to pack my things. I'd prepared my performance carefully, seeming resigned but requesting time to say goodbye to my garden, to gather photo albums, to write letters to friends. Of course, Mom, Jerome said, his false sympathy nauseating. Take your time. Dr. Morrison won't arrive until noon. They settled in my living room, discussing their plans openly, believing I was upstairs packing. The cameras captured everything. Natasha on the phone with a real estate agent, Jerome calling a moving company, both calculating my worth like vultures over carrion. We should get at least $800,000 for the house, Natasha said. Plus whatever's in the accounts. Even after paying Vince, we'll be set. Don't forget Beverly's cut, Jerome reminded her. And Grace needs her $20,000. Morrison wants $50,000 for his services. Their casual discussion of bribes and blood money filled me with cold satisfaction. Every word strengthened my case. Around 11, I heard Natasha in my jewelry box again, and Jerome in Robert's study, searching for the missing investment documents. When Morrison arrived with his medical bag and commitment papers, I was ready. Dressed in my best suit, hair perfectly styled, I descended the stairs with queenly dignity. The confusion they expected had vanished, replaced by steel. Good afternoon, Dr. Morrison, I said clearly. Or should I call you Dr. Morrison Blake, as you were known in Pennsylvania? Or perhaps Dr. Blake Morrison from your Florida days? His face drained of color as I continued. Jerome, Natasha, how thoughtful of you to gather here today. It saves the police time, having all the conspirators in one place. Mom, you're talking nonsense, Jerome stammered, but fear flickered in his eyes. Am I? Then you won't mind explaining this recording from Monday's intervention. I played a clip on my phone of him coaching witnesses before the meeting. Or this video of Natasha drugging my tea? Or this footage of you searching my home at night? Natasha lunged for my phone, but I stepped back, pressing the emergency button. Everything's already uploaded and sent to authorities. You can't delete the truth. You crazy witch. Natasha screamed, her mask finally falling completely. We've spent 2 years setting this up. That money belongs to us. Jerome's your son, he deserves it more than some charity or whatever stupid thing you'd waste it on. Shut up. Jerome shouted at his wife, but she was beyond control. No, I'm tired of pretending. Do you know what it's like watching you sit in this house worth a fortune while we're about to be killed over debts? Your precious son gambled away our future on stupid poker games and sports bets, and you have millions just sitting there. Morrison tried to edge toward the door, but I blocked his path. Doctor, surely you want to wait for the authorities? After all, you have so much to discuss with them about Dorothy Ramos, Herbert Chen, and Evelyn Watts. At the mention of his victims' names, Morrison dropped his bag and shoved past me. He made it to the porch before Tyler appeared with his phone, live streaming. Smile for the camera, Dr. Morrison. My followers love watching criminals get caught. The sirens arrived as Jerome grabbed my arms, shaking me with desperation. Mom, please. They'll kill me. Vince's people don't play games. I'm your son. My son died the day he decided I was worth more dead than alive, I said quietly. The man shaking me is a stranger who happens to share his face. When the police entered, they found Natasha destroying evidence, Jerome still gripping my arms hard enough to leave bruises, and Morrison trying to flee through the back garden where Mrs. Chen had conveniently positioned her wheelchair to block the gate. Adult Protective Services arrived with the police, having received my complete file that morning. The officer in charge looked at the evidence, the recordings, the medical reports from my real doctor confirming my perfect mental health, and shook her head in disgust. Christina, you've built an airtight case, she said. This is one of the most comprehensive documentation of elder abuse I've seen. They won't wiggle out of this. As they led my son away in handcuffs, he turned back once. For a moment, I saw the boy who'd skinned his knee learning to ride a bike, who'd made me Mother's Day cards with crooked hearts. Then he spat at my feet, and I saw only the monster greed had created. Thursday morning shattered with Jerome's rage. He'd made bail, and despite the restraining order, appeared at my door with 3 men who looked like they'd stepped from a nightmare. These weren't cops or lawyers, these were Vince's collectors, and their presence meant my son had reached peak desperation. Open up, Mother, he screamed, pounding hard enough to rattle the windows. We need to talk. You don't understand what you've done. I stood in my hallway, phone in hand, as Tyler huddled beside me. We'd prepared for this possibility, but reality proved more terrifying than imagination. Through the window, I could see one man carrying what looked like a crowbar. Police are on their way, I called out calmly, though my heart hammered against my ribs. You're violating a restraining order, Jerome. Leave now. These men don't care about restraining orders. His voice cracked with panic. You moved the money. Where is it? They'll burn this house down with you in it. One of the men, seemingly the leader, pushed Jerome aside. His voice carried the cold professionalism of someone who hurt people for a living. Mrs. Christina? We're not here to harm you. We just need what Jerome owes us. Be reasonable, and everyone walks away happy. Jerome's debts are not mine to pay, I responded firmly. I suggest you discuss payment plans with him, not me. The sound of splintering wood announced their entry through the back door. Tyler and I retreated to the safe room Peterson had insisted I create, a reinforced bathroom with a deadbolt and direct police communication. As we locked ourselves in, I activated every camera and alarm in the house. Grandma, I'm scared, Tyler whispered, and I pulled him close. Courage isn't the absence of fear, sweetheart. It's acting despite it. Keep recording. Through the door, we heard them ransacking the house. Jerome's voice rose above the destruction, pleading with them to be careful, insisting the money existed. Then Natasha arrived, her shrill voice adding to the chaos. Christina, you vindictive witch. Come out and face us. You think you've won? We'll contest everything. No jury will believe a confused old woman over her own family. Really, Natasha? I called out. The same jury that will see videos of you drugging me? That will hear from your previous victims? That will review Dr. Morrison's fake medical license? The silence that followed felt heavy with rage. Then Jerome spoke, his voice different, colder. You want to know the truth, mother? Fine. Yes, I planned to take everything. Yes, I was going to put you away. But you deserved it. All those years of Robert this, and Robert that, never noticing I was drowning. Never caring that your precious husband's death left me dealing with his mess. What mess? I asked, genuinely confused. He knew about my debts. Promised to help when he got his next commission. Then he died and left everything to you. Every penny that should have helped me went to you. So yes, I decided to take what was mine. The revelation hit like ice water. Robert had known about Jerome's gambling and hidden it from me. But that didn't justify this betrayal. Your father's silence doesn't excuse attempted murder, Jerome. Murder? He laughed bitterly. Drama queen to the end. We were just going to put you somewhere safe. Like Dorothy Ramos was safe? She died 8 months after Natasha put her away. I shot back. Another silence, then whispered arguing. I caught fragments. Natasha denying it, Jerome expressing shock, the collectors growing impatient. Then everything escalated at once. Enough talking. The lead collector barked. Break down that door. The first blow to the bathroom door reverberated through the small space. Tyler live-streamed frantically while I maintained contact with emergency dispatch. 3 men breaking down my door, I reported steadily. Jerome Mitchell and Natasha Mitchell present. Armed and dangerous. Units are 2 minutes out, the dispatcher assured me. 2 minutes felt like 2 hours as the door splintered. Through the growing hole, I saw Jerome's face, twisted with desperation and rage. Just give them something. Anything. They'll kill me. Then perhaps you shouldn't have gambled money you didn't have, I said coldly. The door gave way as sirens filled the air. The collectors froze, professionals who knew when to retreat. But Jerome, past reasoning, grabbed for me. Tyler threw himself between us, and my grandson, my hero, took the blow meant for me. Watching Tyler fall sparked something primal. I struck Jerome with Robert's cane I'd kept by the door, catching him across the face. Natasha screamed and lunged, but the police burst in, weapons drawn, freezing everyone in place. Nobody move, the lead officer commanded. The scene must have looked like chaos. Tyler on the floor, Jerome bleeding, Natasha mid-lunge, 3 thugs in my destroyed bathroom, and me standing with a cane like an avenging angel. The arrest process took hours. Paramedics treated Tyler's black eye while he gave his statement. The collectors, surprisingly cooperative once caught, revealed Jerome owed $90,000, not $80,000. They'd been promised the house deed today or consequences. Beverly arrived during the chaos, saw the police cars, and tried to flee. Officers arrested her in the driveway, where she broke down completely, begging for forgiveness. Grace appeared next, took one look at the scene, and confessed everything before anyone asked. The threats to her daughter, the promised money for her medical bills, the guilt that had eaten her alive. I'm so sorry, Christina, she wept. They said they'd report Lily to immigration, say her marriage was fake. I couldn't risk my daughter. I understood her position, even as I mourned our friendship. Fear and love for our children could drive anyone to desperate choices. But understanding didn't mean forgiveness, not yet. As they led Jerome away for the second time, he turned to me with pure hatred. I wish you'd died with Dad. You've destroyed everything. No, son, I said quietly. You destroyed everything the day you chose greed over family. I'm just the mirror showing you who you've become. Dr. Morrison's arrest at the airport made the evening news. He'd tried fleeing to Mexico but hadn't counted on his face being on every security alert. The reporter called it, the largest elder abuse conspiracy in state history, a distinction that brought no satisfaction. That night, Tyler and I sat in my destroyed living room, surveying the damage. Furniture overturned, photos smashed, Robert's books scattered like fallen soldiers. But we were alive, we were free, and we were family. Did you mean what you told Dad? Tyler asked quietly. That he's not your son anymore? I pulled him close, this boy who'd sacrificed everything for truth. Jerome stopped being my son when he started being my enemy. But you, Tyler, you've shown me that family isn't about blood. It's about choice. And you chose love over greed, courage over comfort. You're more my family than he ever was. We started cleaning up together, knowing tomorrow would bring lawyers, trials, and more pain. But tonight, we had each other, and that was enough. The house could be repaired, trust could be rebuilt with some, and life would continue. Jerome had lost everything trying to steal what was never his. I'd lost a son but gained a grandson whose integrity shone brighter than any inheritance. 6 months later, I sat in a courtroom watching justice unfold with the slow precision of inevitability. Jerome received 5 years for conspiracy, elder abuse, and attempted fraud. His face had aged a decade since his arrest, the golden boy charm replaced by prisoner pallor. When the verdict was read, he didn't look at me once. Natasha got 3 years, her tears finally genuine as reality crashed through her delusions of easy money. Dr. Morrison received 8 years and would never practice medicine again, his victims' families watching from the gallery as his medical coat was symbolically stripped away. Beverly stood before a different judge, her designer clothes replaced by conservative gray. Probation and community service felt lenient, but the social destruction proved worse than jail. Our extended family had disowned her completely, and at 62, she was starting over with nothing but shame. Our mother's jewelry, which she'd borrowed over the years, had been returned, each piece a reminder of broken trust. Grace's situation touched me differently. After learning about the threats to her daughter Lily, the prosecutor showed leniency. She testified against Jerome and Natasha, her voice shaking as she detailed their manipulation. When she approached me after her testimony, I saw genuine remorse, not the performed regret of the others. I don't expect forgiveness, she said quietly. But I want you to know that every night since, I haven't slept. The fear for Lily was real, but betraying you broke something in me that might never heal. Time will tell, I responded, not ready for reconciliation but unwilling to add to her pain. Focus on your daughter. Be the mother to her that Jerome forgot how to be a son to me. Tyler thrived in the aftermath, though the trauma left its marks. Night terrors about his father breaking down doors gradually faded with therapy. His choice to testify against his parents showed courage that earned the judge's praise and his custodial placement with me. At 17, he was preparing college applications, his essay about choosing integrity over blood winning early admission to several schools. You saved my life, he told me one evening as we reviewed scholarship offers. Not just from them, but from becoming them. Watching Dad's greed destroy everything taught me what not to value. The house sale closed in spring, that monument to memories both beautiful and bitter, fetching enough to secure Tyler's education and my simpler future. I found a cozy beach cottage 2 hours away, close enough for Tyler to visit but far enough from the poisoned community Jerome had created. Moving felt like shedding old skin, leaving behind the woman who'd been marked as prey. My new life began with establishing Christina's Compass, a support group for elder abuse survivors. The first meeting drew 3 people. 6 months later, we filled a community center. Stories poured out. Children stealing medications, grandchildren draining bank accounts, spouses hiding dementia diagnoses for financial gain. Each tale reinforced that my experience wasn't unique, just well documented. The hardest part, said Evelyn, whose daughter had sold her house while she was hospitalized, is accepting that someone you birthed could see you as an ATM instead of a mother. We created resources. Warning sign pamphlets, legal contact lists, technology training for hidden recordings. Local lawyers volunteered time, and banks sent representatives to explain financial protections. What started as healing became a mission, turning our pain into others' protection. Tyler often joined meetings, sharing his perspective as someone who'd chosen differently. Love isn't proven by blood, he'd tell the group. It's proven by actions. When someone shows you they value money over your well-being, believe them the first time. The investigation revealed more victims of the Morrison-Jerome network. 17 elderly people across 3 states had been targeted, 4 successfully institutionalized before families intervened. The FBI got involved when interstate commerce laws applied, and suddenly my kitchen table evidence helped build a federal case. Robert's watch surfaced in a pawn shop, along with other family treasures Jerome had stolen. Holding that watch again, seeing our inscription still gleaming after everything, broke the dam I'd built around my grief. I cried for the son I'd raised, the husband who'd hidden crucial truths, the family I'd thought I had. But mostly, I cried for the woman I'd been, too trusting to see the wolves circling. A year after that terrible night by the oak tree, Tyler graduated with highest honors. As he walked across the stage, I saw Jerome in his features but none of his father's darkness in his spirit. He'd chosen light despite growing up in shadows, integrity despite examples of deception. His valedictory speech moved the audience to tears. We don't choose our blood, but we choose our behavior. We don't control who raises us, but we control who we become. My grandmother taught me that courage isn't loud. Sometimes it's the quiet voice saying, I will not be a victim, when everyone expects you to fall. That evening, as we celebrated at a quiet restaurant, Tyler surprised me with adoption papers. If you're willing, he said nervously, I'd like to make it official. You've been my real family all along. Through tears, I signed my name, legally claiming the grandson who'd claimed me first through loyalty. The waiter, confused by our emotional state, asked if everything was all right. Everything's perfect, Tyler told him. I just officially got the grandmother I've always had. 2 years passed. Jerome sent one letter from prison, pages of blame and bitterness I burned without finishing. Natasha divorced him, apparently finding another target to marry before her release. Beverly moved across the country, her Christmas cards unanswered but persistent. Grace and I began tentative coffee meetings, rebuilding slowly on foundations of honest communication. The beach cottage became a haven for Tyler during college breaks and my refuge always. I learned to paddleboard at 60, joined a book club without whispered rumors, found peace in anonymity. The support group continued growing, spawning chapters in other cities, each one a beacon for the vulnerable. One morning, walking the shore at sunrise, I found myself genuinely happy. Not the complex happiness of my marriage or the anxious joy of motherhood, but simple contentment. The woman Jerome tried to bury had risen stronger, surrounded not by blood family but by chosen tribe. Tyler called that evening from law school, excited about his elder law specialization. I'm going to make sure what happened to you never happens to anyone else, Grandma. At least not without consequences. You already have, I told him. Every time you chose truth over easy lies, protection over profit, love over greed. You've already changed the world, one choice at a time. As I write this, sharing our story with you, I want to leave you with hard-won wisdom. Family isn't about shared DNA, it's about shared values. When someone shows you they value money over your well-being, believe them. Trust is earned through actions, not assumed through relations. And sometimes, the greatest gift is seeing people's true colors before they succeed in painting you as crazy. My son tried to rob me of money, dignity, and freedom. Instead, he robbed himself of a mother's love, a son's respect, and a future outside prison walls. But from that darkness came Tyler's light, survivor friendships, and purpose born from pain. I lost what I thought I had but gained what I actually needed. Truth, protection, and a grandson who proved that love is a choice we make daily. To those facing similar battles, document everything. Trust your instincts. Seek help early. And remember, choosing yourself over toxic family isn't selfish, it's survival. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, and Tyler's courage in that covenant saved both our lives. Thank you for joining me on this difficult journey. If my story helps even one person recognize the warning signs, then sharing this pain transforms into purpose. Now I have some questions for you. Have you ever faced betrayal from someone you trusted completely? What warning signs do you wish you'd recognized sooner? Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and if this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories of survival and triumph. Share this video with anyone who might need to hear that they're not alone in facing family betrayal. Remember, you deserve family who see your worth beyond your wallet. Stay strong, stay aware, and always trust that quiet voice warning you when something feels wrong. Until next time, this is Christina, reminding you that sometimes the family we choose chooses us right back, and that's the greatest gift of all.